Bonjour, bonsoir, bonne nuit, and bon jovi. It's the Septic Shock road trip with me, Clive Davis, and him.
I don't know if it was just me, but your sound just totally cut out there for like a minute.
Oh, really? It's fine. It was
Yeah.
bollocks, so it's all right. Who are
Okay.
you?
Who am I?
Yeah,
I'm Clem Davis. Who are you?
I'm Ron, uh, old fairy Scott.
I'm Clive. I love little boys. Davis.
Fair enough. Um, yeah.
Right.
See,
I'm Ron. He's Clive.
yeah, this is a terrible intro because
Yeah, yeah,
people are
yeah.
not privy to the things we were talking about. Just
Right.
thinks we're a couple of homophobes or something now.
Yeah. That's right. Yes.
Right, shall we start again? Okay,
Yeah.
here we go. Welcome all, except you puffs. Oh shit, I've done it again. Oh fuck. Anyway, let's. All right. Okay. Anyway, I'm Ron and Clive, and he's John, Paul, George, and Ringo, and this is the Septic Shock Road Trip, Maryland bonus edition.
All right.
Yes, because last time, for those who haven't been paying attention, we
Which
discovered
is everybody. Absolutely everybody.
Ron's favorite new film, Night of Horror.
Right.
Since then, Ron's gone out, bought Blu-ray, the T-shirt, the poster, the underpants, everything. He's decked
I'm
out.
actually making my own sequel. Day of Horror.
That's a good. That's a good. I don't know how you
Yeah.
came up with that. You're a
Yeah.
genius,
Well, of course, then it'd be Dawn of Horror, and then Day of Horror, and then
right? Document
Dusk,
of the horror,
Dusk Diary of the Horror,
right? Diarrhea of the horror.
Land of the Horror. Right.
Yeah, sounds good. Um,
Yeah.
Anyway, so Ron loved that film, so he pleaded with me, please, 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 Clive, can we watch the remake by the same director, Tony Maslowski, sorry, made just the following year. So all right then, Ron. So we will be talking Curse of the Cannibal Confederates, aka Curse of the Screaming Dead, apparently aka The South Will Rise Again, when it was released in Canada, because it did get a release in Canada. Apparently it got a distributor up there.
Mhm.
um yes, so it's kind of a replay of what happened before, except this time, if I remember correctly, in Night of Horror, they're just kind of ghosts, right? The
Sure.
Confederate soldiers that come back
Yeah.
and talk like that for a
Uh,
really long. See, I can't even do it for
no,
like.
but I can understand you. I couldn't. It was just like, and then people going,
Yeah.
yeah, that's it.
Anyway,
That's the
great film. I think we're
whole
all
movie.
agreed. So in this one, they took it one step further. So they're actually zombies, and again, it's basically some dudes and some gals in a RV. Apparently, they're ex-marines, right? Someone mentions at some point, or someone is an
Oh,
ex.
really? Okay. I missed that
One
part.
of them, Mel, the one who looks a bit like John Holmes, is established early on. He's a thief,
Uh-huh.
and he makes a really big deal about he has this ring on his finger, right? And everyone's, oh, you stole that ring, and he freaks. I didn't steal the ring, and I thought that was going to lead to something, but
Nope.
no. Uh, yeah, there's
Joke's on you, Clive.
yes, there's a lot of, speaking of jokes, there's a lot of kind of hilarious exchanges. There was one. What was it? I didn't understand. Someone's like refusing to carry some heavy goods on there because they're going on a hunting trip, right? They're going on a hunting trip,
Mm,
and they bought fireworks with them for some reason, and
mm.
was refusing to carry the fireworks. To which someone replies, "I'll tell your sister you won't carry them," and then everyone goes, "Ha ha ha ha." What?
Ooh, burn.
Yeah, there's a lot of so-called sick burns. My favorite is, "You're the bozo, bozo." That was a good one. Ow! Yeah. Um, And yeah, so the three dudes. They got three girls with them. Two of them are Japanese sisters. One of whom is blind. In fact, her character name is even Blind Kiyomi, right? Who
Yeah.
kind of treat quite either condescendingly or mean to her. There's like no middle ground, really, is there?
Right. Right. Yeah.
And for some reason, she's really into John Holmes' dude, even though he's a total dick. I only feel safe with you, she says at the moment. I'm thinking,
Yeah.
yeah, you're not
Why?
only blind, you're clearly deaf as well, right? Yeah, anyway, so that's the setup. And yeah, they take a new hiking trail that they don't normally take. They find this old dilapidated church and a cemetery, and eventually the zombies come out the ground and attack them, and then some policemen come along and try and sort out what's going on. They're quite amusing. I quite like them.
Yeah.
And then you have lots of extended, like quite long, like nothing happens for a long time, and then they really go to town on the gut munching scenes, right? Like they last quite a long time,
yeah,
and very almost sensuous ADR work. Like someone's chomping and they're like,
yeah.
like someone's really getting off.
I think we watched. Did we watch another movie that was like this that had really long gut work?
I think yes. I can't remember which one.
Yeah, I really like it was. I can see it in my mind, but I don't remember what it was called or which state it was in. But it was a similar kind of thing where you think that probably they spend a lot of their budget on getting these intestines and these guts,
right?
And like, okay, let's really we got to highlight them, and so like just put them in your mouth and eat and look, just really enjoy them, and we'll make it like 15 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, and then they end up barricaded in a farmhouse, Night of the Living Dead style, because they want a diary back. The thief turns out he's stolen these Confederate stories diary, and it's all about how they were tortured by Union soldiers and stuff, and they eventually get the diary back. And yeah, that's it really. It's I mean, I suppose from a traditional filmmaking standpoint, it is no doubt a step up from Night of Horror, right? You're the normal person in the room, so you'll be able to talk. I mean, for me, I like this in bits. I particularly I found the cops amusing. I thought they were quite funny with their weird theory about, oh yeah, it's probably some guys who've dug up corpses and hanging them from trees with ropes, and and you're thinking, well, even if you're right, that's a mighty weird thing to do that you should be investigating. That's not like, oh, those kids digging up corpses and using them as puppets in trees. Like, you should probably be that. Yeah. And yeah, the gut munching was quite amusing. But it's not quite the extended, focused, like catatonic bad movie, magnetically weird of Night of Horror for me.
So you actually prefer Night of Horror?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, I think you're closer to like being a proper human being. So even though I'm guessing you didn't like either too much, you probably prefer this one tonight. Am I right?
Well, I would say it'd be like it's like saying which is the better film, Citizen Kane or this walnut, right? It's like
oh really?
yeah. It's like that's what it is. It's hardly even a movie. It's just literally like I wouldn't even call Night of Horror a movie. It was
I like walnuts.
Yeah. I like walnuts too, but it don't make good films though.
Well, you wait until we get to Wyoming and watch.
Yeah, I didn't really like Citizen Kane that much either. So, but still a better movie than a walnut.
Oh, you don't like Citizen Kane much?
And I think it's over.
Okay.
Overblown a bit, but anyway, yes, this one, of course, is by no means a great movie. And again, yeah, there's only parts that you can enjoy. There's bits and pieces, but the thing that I did enjoy about it was that it was a movie. There were characters, there was a plot, and there was a script, and there was, camera work, and there was special effects and makeup, and
gratuitous
a
bikini
little
shots as well.
little bit of gore, right? I mean, it was a shitty zombie movie, but it was a zombie movie, which is more than you could say for the other, which was just like people standing in the dark listening to for an hour, right? Right? Which I get how you can be, mystified and magnetized by the complete ineptitude and bizarre shittiness of that movie, but at
Mm.
the same time, I was mystified by it for about 5 minutes, and then I just got like suicidally bored.
I
So,
I've watched it again since we
oh,
watched.
did you really? I how did I know? I knew it was going to
I
happen,
enjoyed it even
and
more.
did
Um,
even more this time, right?
it did look awfully cold to be wearing those bikinis.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
it
so.
did, like sometimes where somewhere it just looks cold. And I read
Yeah,
up about it as well. Apparently, yeah, it was like the end of October or something, and it was yeah.
yeah. So, but yeah, yeah, not great on any front, but yeah, I enjoyed. They did their best with. There was a little bit of gore, a little bit of makeup and special effects, so I appreciated it. They were trying their hard with the zombies. I mean, considering this was only 1 year later, it was a huge step up. Like it was like a
It's
like a
true. Yeah,
proper
yeah.
the proper thing, right? So I mean, as opposed to like the first one would look like they just did it in his basement, the end, right? And no to the field, and behind the house, right? So
In fact, oddly enough, coming at this from totally different angles, from your point of view and my point of view, I think actually both films benefit from watching them back to back in a way, right? Because like you're saying, like if you'd have just watched Curse of the Cannibal Conference by itself, you probably just sort of wouldn't have given it the time of day. But
sure,
after Night of Horror, it's like
yeah,
stale bread to a starving man for
the
you.
starving man, exactly,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
for me, it's just kind of fascinating to see. I was fascinated by the original version to see how it's kind of morphed into this. And yeah, so if you're going to watch either of the films, you should probably just watch both of them, right?
If
I
you're
would say,
going to,
yeah,
that's a hard sell. It's a hard recommendation, but yeah, if you want to enjoy Curse of the Screaming Dead, you'll enjoy it more if you watch
yeah.
the other one first, I think, right?
What
So,
I mean is,
or
if
vice
you
versa.
buy the disc with them both on, it's like an experience. The whole thing is an
It
experience, as
is it a
opposed
disc?
to
Is it like a thing you can buy, like the
yeah,
double
you can
disc
get a Blu-ray, yeah, yeah,
of
with
the two of them together?
yeah, yeah.
Really?
I think that's the way to go, right? If you're going to go, because thinking about the whole thing and considering how it is, everything, and there's commentaries on there as well. It's like, okay, that's an enjoyable little project to go on.
Sure.
I
Yeah. If you're gonna go that way, go that way. But don't do it.
do it,
Run away.
put the gun to your head. Yeah, was released by Trauma as well.
Yeah. So that was the other thing I was surprised. Oh, this is a trauma one. So I guess I'm guessing that he brought this Night of Horror thing to Lloyd Kaufman, and Lloyd Kaufman saw it and said, "Oh, I can make this better." And he probably was the one that threw all the money at them to give them.
No, I think it was. I
No.
think they bought it after it was made. I think it was a pick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's worth mentioning as well that Lloyd Kaufman considers it one of the 5 worst films that Trauma ever put out, which is
Yeah,
saying
which
a
is
lot.
saying a lot.
Yeah, I would have to. I think there's 5. I mean, just more boring movies out there than on the Trauma catalog than this. I think
Right. Yeah.
fair. I think because Trauma have put out a lot of because I wonder
Real shit.
now.
Yeah.
I know they've got a website and everything, and you can probably download on demand. But I'm wondering, nowadays, I'm wondering how much of the Trauma catalog is still, about and if the licensing ran out or whatever. Because so I'm wondering if younger people might not quite be aware because they know the Trauma in-house stuff. They know Toxic Avenger, Savage Good, Trauma Avenger, but I'm wondering if they quite have a handle on just how much crap Trauma distributed through the 80s and 90s. It's quite astonishing how many films they put out there, and it's almost as if they went out of their way. This is sort of too good. There's very few. I mean, there's like Combat Shock, that's good, and a few other things, but mostly it's just like, my God, what a what a selection. Where did you find these things? It's like they've gone out their way to find bad films.
That's fascinating that someone who liked Night of Horror would actually think that these are terrible movies. So I'm really curious what you think is a bad movie in this genre or area of filmmaking. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose for me it's the carnal crime is boredom more than anything else, right? And
But you don't think Night of Horror was boring? Like it
it
was
goes straight
one of the
through
most
the other
boring
side.
things I've ever seen. Literally, it's just people standing in the dark listening to a voice.
It's so boring. It went through the other side into fascinating for me. That's it's like a kind of alchemy or something. If it had
Right.
stopped in because Curse of the Cannibal Confederates is closer to being boring for me in parts, just because it isn't quite like you said. It's it's a it's a failed attempt at something more commercial and
At
better,
a regular movie, right?
rather
Yeah.
than just something from another dimension, right? Like as much weird things there are in this, there isn't, it doesn't open with two people with a
Right.
back to the camera in a basement talking total bullshit that you don't understand, right? That's next level, right? Like I said in the Night of Horror, not, if you're not trained, if you're not a professional, stay
Sure.
away, don't try this at home.
Right. Yeah. That's for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
Well,
I'm glad we
although
had.
it also bears mentioning that none of the dead actually screamed. There's no screaming in this movie.
This is true. This is
Yeah.
true. Yeah. No.
So
Uh,
another poor title.
right. Yeah, that's the original title, I guess. Yeah. No, they didn't. You're quite right. Okie doke then. That's us for this little bonus edition, and we'll be back in
You're
the
welcome.
nation's capital next time.
Um,
Yeah, we'll have a quick scoot through Washington D.C. District of Columbia en route to Virginia, because this is kind of America. It's supposed. I remember in Night of Horror, it's Virginia, isn't it? They go across the border. I'm assuming this is as well. So we're just on the
sure.
cusp. So, but first we'll stop in DC.
Okay. But before we go there, you're the bozo, bozo.